This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a 11 p.m. Central Time drone update for Friday the 13th. I have watched the news on these drone incursions all day. I've interviewed people related to this, and I will cut to the chase as much as possible of the latest news for the end of the day here. The biggest news of the day is President Trump, who's not inaugurated yet, made a comment about the drones finally, which had been seen flying in the area of his New Jersey golf course and the airport that he uses in New Jersey. No one really knows where he is right now, from what I understand, but likely he's not in New Jersey with all this activity. He said in this tweet on X that it's been reported on everywhere, but I can no longer seem to find it on X. Quote, mystery drones sighting all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know and now. Otherwise, shoot them down. Donald J. Trump, end quote. Now, of course, he's not the president yet. He doesn't have the power to shoot them down, and that kind of might be grinding President Biden a bit, who hasn't said anything public about this, despite hysteria growing by the day on the subject. But here's the thing that a lot of people are not fully reporting. The center of the activity seems to be in New Jersey, around the area where President Trump has his golf course and airport, and there is also Picatinny Arsenal Base and other military bases in that area. But these incursions are actually happening all over the world. They are happening all over the world. It's just getting the most press in the US right now. Not every single country, but a variety of countries. So I hope that it's nothing terrible. But the more I research this, the more concerning I seem to find it. So there's a lot going on, and I'll get to the news on it right now. I talked to my friend who has contacts within the Canadian government intelligence agency, and he says some of these could very well be IRS drones, which are intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance drones. Some of them do share those characteristics. Let's get into Ross Coulthart's report, and I'm going to get into a number of different news reports, but this was the Ross Coulthart's at least second long News Nation report from today, where he had a former CIA operative on as well. And this CIA operative that was talking to Mr. Coulthart said the government should say more, but not the top secret parts. Or say we don't know what's going on, but say that we're still going to be safe at this point, other than trying to say 100% we're going to be safe, like they're saying now. As far as Coulthart's FBI contacts, they're saying the objects are SUV size, saying that they're too small to detect is not necessarily true. Distance from these things really affects their appearance. They have been attempts to intercept these objects, according to Coulthart, and there has been deployment of anti-drone technologies. So far, according to him and his contacts, none have been intercepted or downed. They have tried to apparently use anti-drone technology over a nuclear site that these drones were seen over. This is technology that normally works on all types of drones. Apparently, according to Ross Coulthart, it failed when it was tested recently at a nuclear site where these new types of drones are being seen. These objects are being seen in Australia, Japan, Indonesia, China, Russia, and Europe right now. Again, they're getting the most publicity in the state of New Jersey, but they're also being seen in multiple states, New York, Connecticut, Maryland, California, Oregon, to name some of the main ones. It appears being close to either the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean might have something to do with it, because these things are appearing and disappearing over bodies of water in a lot of cases. Let's go now to the MSNBC report, where they mentioned some of these things have a hum noise loud enough to wake people up from sleeping. They have extraordinary battery life, 6 to 7 hours. They are mostly only seen at night, usually between the times of 5:30 p.m. and midnight when it's dark. Perhaps this is just because it's easier to see them or not. At night, it's not really known. The government's most sophisticated radar, electric, optical, enforced cameras could not detect them so far. Normally, they can detect any drone 1 to 2 miles out for smaller craft, 10 miles out for larger craft. So far, there's radar issues detecting them, according to MSNBC. More than a dozen drones were recently reported to follow a Coast Guard boat Sunday night. They are being seen close to military and utility assets. If it is ours, the situation is so classified, they are not telling many members of the government, which is causing this giant mess at all levels of the government right now, and confusion with certain members of the government and the public. The U.S. government's defense contractors and maybe Elon Musk could put something like this together. These MSNBC people were speculating, or perhaps an ally of the government, but that's far-reaching. They brought up, as far as this go dark that is being said, as far as people trying to follow them and they go dark, there hasn't been anything said by the government, whether that just means do they go dark as in they're not visible anymore by lights, or is that radar too? They went on to say if we were to be invaded by visitors from somewhere else, it would be a great time right now due to everything going on in the world, all the turmoil and the changing of the presidents. They then had a retired Marine intelligence officer on Live Now, the Live Now broadcast, which is not MSNBC anymore. This guy was fairly informative. He confirmed they are being seen not just in the U.S., but Germany, Europe, and California, which makes me think if they're being seen over so many countries, the theory that this might be a U.S. black operation to find weapons of mass destruction over the New Jersey area, or research, do reconnaissance for some matter that is very classified. I mean, since it's happening in other countries and states, definitely, I don't know, it's questionable. People are getting more concerned by the day. This intelligence officer said, it's hard to pick up stuff on radar that's in the mountains and tree areas, as well as suburb areas if these things are flying low. It's not as easy to detect things on radar as people might think, according to this gentleman. If you shoot them down, he's addressing if someone were to try and shoot them down, they could be a threat to the ground. And this was addressing Donald Trump and I guess a senator. Both mentioned perhaps these things should be shot down today. And then we've already heard from other people too, there could be biological reasons not to shoot them down. These things might contain chemicals or something that could infect people, because we don't really know what they are or what's in them. This former Marine intelligence officer says he has absolutely no idea why anyone would be doing this. As we get into the least good reports on this, the Fox Business Report, they made fun of the situation overall, and I don't know the guy's name, but the old man involved in this report, let's call him, said he didn't know anything about drones. He wasn't really interested in covering it, but it's the hottest topic right now, so he's covering it. Very great update there. He was also joined by a New York congresswoman and a former Army intelligence officer. Apparently, the intelligence officer said these things just need to be over sensitive sites for a few seconds to collect data. If it is true that the FBI's counter drone budget technique, as they said the other day publicly, is only $500,000, we could be in a lot of trouble. The woman, the congresswoman, and this was a bizarre comment, the congresswoman says she thinks this could be a good thing to help people react better in the future. Okay, that could be good if this is all over and nothing serious happens. Maybe she knows more than she lets on. If she's saying, oh, this is a good thing, maybe she knows more than we do. Because right now it seems to be spreading and multiplying. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good thing. CBS had by far the worst report, the CBS report that I saw from today. They were very much downplaying it. They showed the Pentagon speech where the guy was saying it's nothing to be concerned about, where the representative was saying there's nothing to be concerned about. They also showed a post from the New York mayor downplaying everything. And the last part of it was somebody saying these things could literally be anybody, even your neighbor. It's the easiest thing to do. I don't think so. If you actually research this, to fly a 8-foot drone over a sensitive military base or the president's golf club, I wouldn't say that's the easiest thing to do. And for this to go on for a month and multiply with drones that are evading radar, I mean, that report made me lose respect for CBS big time. So I'll get into your questions. That was the main news since my last one. I think Elon may have been joking there, but Elon's been suspiciously quiet. It's just a plane. Okay, that's why Donald Trump is chiming in on it, and all the government is talking about it right now. It's because there's nothing to it. Elon and Trump both know what's up. I believe that they do too. I 100% actually believe if anyone knows what's up, it's going to be those two. Somebody says this is not going to end well for us. I mean, I agree. I agree that it might not end well for us. That's why I kind of offended by that Fox News report where the older guy who clearly didn't do any research on this, even though he admitted it's the hottest topic of the week, was making fun of it and saying, well, if this happened in Montana, everyone would just pull out their guns and shoot it down. He doesn't have a clue about what's going on or the dangers of it, but he did kind of start to keep his mouth shut when the former intelligence officer was telling more information. Frequency unknown, yes. We still haven't supposedly found the radar frequency. Yes, they are flying. They are going for the nucleus. There you go. Do I think hundreds of people are being dumped every night all over the world? I don't know how many of these are manned and how many of them aren't. The Pentagon seemed to make it sound like they were all manned yesterday, but there's a lot of evidence that they are not all manned for sure. Biden hasn't said anything at all. And some people are saying the only reason why we're seeing any of this is because we weren't looking in the skies before. And now, because of the hysteria, everyone's looking in the skies. Sure, there's misidentification. Sure, there's more police drones in the sky, probably more recreational drones in the sky too. But some of these things are clearly bizarre looking. Somebody saw 4 in Connecticut tonight. I haven't heard about that. But one thing that is bizarre to me and makes us a lot of us think that this does have something to do with the government is they haven't closed the skies yet, not even just for drones. Greg Tips 499, thank you very much. We have cameras that record millions of frames a second, but we don't have cameras that can get quality images at night. Like That is the interesting thing. And I did interview a former New Jersey police officer about this whole situation today. He finds it very weird that the government has not released any good images of this to the public. They haven't released any images at all. They actually said at the Pentagon's most recent briefing that their research is based on the cell phone footage that is out there, which is very hard to believe. It's extremely hard to believe as far as photo footage. So obviously, they have better footage than that. What I don't understand is why none of these multi-million-dollar news companies don't have thermal cameras on the sky. Because if anyone could solve this, you would think that would be the biggest story of December 2024. And there's a lot of media companies there that are very well funded. Someone says they've seen pictures of U.S. Navy drones that go in and out of water. Some of these smaller drones have been seen entering larger drones. That might be one of the ways that they're recharging. Maybe they're going into this larger drone and the larger drone is taking them somewhere to recharge. Who knows? No one has seen any of them land or take off yet. Somebody says waiting for some to appear in Oregon. There was pilots witnessing some in Eugene, Oregon, where I'm going to be in the end of February, by the way, in Oregon. And as far as the evidence of it, they released the audio of the pilots actually saying UFO, as well as the technician that they're talking to about it. I think there was 3 or 4 seen. Now, they appeared a little bit different than the New Jersey ones, even though there's been all types of New Jersey ones. Someone says perhaps the shadow government is doing it. Very possible. This happened right as the change of power was going on, I believe, right as President Trump was elected. And then it got kicked up once President Biden gave the okay for the Ukraine to use those missiles, which as far as I know, they haven't used the missiles yet. But that's when this seemed to start elevating, and it seems to be doing nothing but elevating since then. Someone says they're in Texas. Hope everyone is staying safe. I would like to see more pressure on Elon to actually say something, because with all of his satellites, how could he not know? And with all the inside people he must talk to on a regular basis, including President Trump, who has possibly the most connections in the world, how could they not know what's going on? Even President Trump said in his tweet that he believes the government knows more than what's going on. Some of these things have been seen with some type of a discharge, but there's been no confirmation on that. Someone has been watching these from the beginning. Well, I'm trying to keep. I find this very interesting that this has been going on a month without any answers. It makes absolutely no sense, and this is what's. Hey, I'm trying to stay impartial on this. I'm listening to everyone's opinion and listening to all the reports on this, but it's going to be interesting. Someone's saying they're over Mexico too. It's going to be interesting if people start shooting at these, if people get frustrated and actually start pulling weapons on these, what the possible reaction of these drones could be. Billy Bob, I haven't heard much from Canada either. There hasn't, I'm not saying every country, from what I've reported, but the ones that were mentioned earlier in this broadcast, yes. Very, very interesting stuff, though, and I appreciate everything. As far as Space Force, there's been one in California. There's been one over at California Space Force base that was identified as being operated by a Chinese national who was on his way back to China when they arrested him. Someone says he's in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and they are really freaking out here flying around. I mean, people seem to be getting more paranoid about this by the day. Every day that we don't get an answer, it definitely seems to get people's anxiety up. But that's about all I have. Thank you for all your comments. That's all the news of today. It is suspicious as hell. Let's end it at that. No one can sum it up better than that. It's all of this is very suspicious.